39 West Catering and the Sycamore at Chatham Mills. A staple of Pittsboro, Greg has served on the Pittsboro Business Association Board of Directors, Chatham County Economic Development Corporation Board of Directors, Pittsboro Small Business Town Street Board of Directors, and the Chatham Park Steering Committee. And now, with no time to spare, he is opening a brand new restaurant in Chatham Park this year. I don't know how he does it. Put your hands together for Greg Lewis. Talk to him first, and then I'll start at the hard-hitting questions.
You want me to talk first?
Yeah, he's kind of.
He left off a couple of boards that I serve on, and some of those are old, but you know.
Go after them.
I currently serve on the Welcome Chatham Board, which runs the Welcome Center in downtown Pittsboro for all of Chatham County. I'm also on the Chapel Hill Carver, and I'm no longer on the EDC board currently. Been off of that for about 2 years now. Yet you're only allowed to serve 8 years at a time. And I'm on the events committee for Pittsboro Business Association. That brings you Summerfest and the tree lighting in downtown Pittsboro and First Sundays. So, just a few.
Is that all?
That's it.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm going to get to that question first. We're going to talk about any sort of substances that you're currently taking to stay above water and all that stuff. Are we in a close proximity? Should we get closer or further apart, or are we good?
As long as our microphones don't squeal, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last night, Greg's like, Dustin, I need the questions for tomorrow. And I was like, I'm building a fence, man. I'm outside. So I used ChatGPT, and it came up with some really good questions, and then he shot me back, pretty good. Did you use AI? And I was like, no. So here they go. First question.
And then I barely read the question.
You barely read the question?
I wanted them, but I hardly read it. He didn't send them till 9 o'clock.
I texted him, I think it was 10:30.
10:30.
Okay. Ready? Here we go. You've been an entrepreneur for decades. What was your first business, and what did it teach you about risk and resilience?
So, when we moved to North Carolina in 2000, I'd always been a chef prior to that. And our family had slowly moved here. My wife's sister went to ECU, met a guy from Durham, got married, started a family, and everybody slowly moved down here. And then as a way to bribe us and get us down here, they said, "Ooh, there's this restaurant for sale, we'll help you get started financially, you come down here." So we did, they did, and in 2000 we opened a restaurant. We bought a restaurant called Brothers Pizza in Cary. There you go. Jason used to come to that restaurant when he was, very small. I've known the D'Amicos a long time. But, we bought that in 2000, and we were doing well. The restaurant business in Cary at that time was very difficult because Cary was growing very rapidly, much like Pittsboro is now. And a lot of chains were moving in. And a lot of people with deep pockets were moving in, and it made it difficult for small restaurants. And then somewhere, what year did the market tank?
2008.
2008. And back then, we barely had internet, we barely had email, there was no social media, things like that. So we were advertising in the Yellow Pages, those that remember that, and faxing, things to people. Well, when the economy tanked, instead of, curling up and holding on to everything, we personally took a pay cut and doubled down on our investment, our advertising rather, and advertised more and more and more while all the other small businesses were not. And that proved to be the best thing we could have ever done, because since then our business has grown 25% a year over and over and over. It's still true. When 9/11 happened, we did the same thing. We did more marketing. When the economy tanked, we just did more marketing so new people would find us constantly, and we continued to grow.
That's incredible. A number you told me that's shocking. So, for those of you who don't know, Chatham is kind of, I don't want to call it a problem, but it's a situation is that our tax base is heavily dependent upon property tax, right? I think it's like in the 90s. I don't know the exact number, but it's heavy burden on property, personal property tax, low commercial tax base, right? That's a lot to do. What is it?
It's
90. And so there's efforts to try to get that tax base more in balance, right? And that's really about employment strategies and business development growth. And Greg, tell people how many people you have employed right now.
W-2 employees, I have 40, and 1099 employees, I have probably 60.
Think about that, 100 jobs created by Greg's businesses. I think that's really, really impressive. And the power of small business. And I don't like, the word small business implies small thinking, but clearly that's not the case here. Okay, next question, Chad.
Small is a relative term. Small to who and large to who. It's large enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been here for a while. How long have you been in Chatham?
We moved to North Carolina in 2000. We found Chatham County in 07 and moved here. And we're not leaving.
How has the landscape changed since you've been in Chatham?
First, I'll say moving to Chatham County is probably the best decision we made. Chatham County schools are phenomenal, second to none. We pulled our kids out of Wake County schools, came to Chatham and never looked back. What I'll say is when we came here, there was I was driving back and forth to Cary every day to run my then catering business. And it was coming home was a breath of fresh air when I hit the lake. It was just like driving in your driveway, because I had another 20 minutes to go after I hit the lake, but it was just like, I'm out of that rat race. I know it's just Cary, but it's big, it's developed, it's commercial. And so when we came here, none of that was here. Chatham Park wasn't started, Mosaic wasn't here. And in 2011, we bought the General Store Cafe out of bankruptcy and started the Pittsboro Roadhouse. When we did that, because we weren't involved in anything, because we were driving to Cary every day, we had no idea Chatham Park was coming. None. Zero, zip, zilch. And so we did that, and then found out about Chatham Park, and then found it made us think, well, this happened to us in Cary, because downtown Cary, everything built around downtown Cary really suffered for a number of years. And so that's when my wife Marie and I really got involved and said, we need to help protect downtown Pittsboro. That's when we said downtown Pittsboro needs to survive. Downtown Pittsboro needs to thrive in the face of Chatham Park. And lo and behold, Chatham Park had the same vision. You know, once Marie and I sat down with them, they felt the same way, and they doubled down on that. And they wanted Pittsboro to survive, because Pittsboro is a jewel, and downtown Pittsboro is vital to Chatham Park and Mosaic, and it's vital to all of us, and it's vital to small businesses. But there are so many small businesses in downtown Pittsboro that you could support. You know, you think going on Amazon is quick and it's easy, but it's not helping your neighbor. You know, it's not. Yeah, you might pay $10 more for a pair of shoes or $5 more for a puzzle from Pittsboro Toys, but you're helping local people, local kids, getting their sports equipment or whatever. I mean, I can't say enough about shopping local. I forget what you even asked.
No, it was great. That was great.
How does the environment change? Well, now we've got large commercial businesses in Pittsboro and Chatham County, and Lord knows we got a lot more coming. Well, how does that help? It helps if you are involved and you know what's coming. You know, I don't have a lot of money, my wife and I don't have a lot of money, so we can't be involved in everything, we can't invest in everything, we can't sit at the table of everything because of our pockets. But by volunteering and being involved and sitting on boards and sitting on organizations, we got to meet people, and we got involved, and we got to learn about what was coming, and began to work with, you know, Chatham Park, Mosaic, Tim, Bubba, Vanessa, Kirk Bradley, all of them. They're great folks. And working with them, we learned how we could succeed with what was coming, and how we could be part of what was coming, and how we could be involved in all of that.
So you're kind of in like 2.0, you know, of you want to talk about your move and your decision to come to Mosaic, and what that business model is going to look like, and kind of a timeline for when the restaurant's going to open up?
So we're opening a restaurant right at the bottom of these steps here in an empty space. It's going to be called Tavolo. It means at the table. It'll be an Italian restaurant, but it'll be a true Italian. It'll brick oven pizzas, house-made pasta every day. We're not going to have spaghetti meatballs. We're not going to have manicotti or big ziti. It's going to be true Italian, everything made to order. You know, with a wood oven, we'll bake entrees in there. Construction, we're still working with the engineer. It's been a challenge of a space to try and get it to flow right. The HVAC units, having to move them, put them where they need to be so that we're not building walls around them, making it look right, but also trying to stay within a reasonable amount of money. Trying to stay within a budget. Building a restaurant, most people say $300 a square foot. Well, we're trying to do it for $200 a square foot or less. How do you do that? You plan.
Right. So you, for those of you who might not know, talk about your other. So 39 West is your main catering arm.
So we have 39 West Catering. With 39 West Catering, we do corporate catering all over the triangle, up to an hour away. Pinehurst to Raleigh to Wake Forest, Chapel Hill, all the towns in the area. Sanford all the time, and that's corporate Monday through Friday. That's our bread and butter. Then on weekends we do weddings. We'll do up to 4 weddings in one day. So we'll do 4 weddings on a Saturday. Last week we had 4 weddings and a funeral. Jason, you already read a movie. But we'll do anything for anybody. We have set menus on our website, but we're not limited to those. We'll create anything that you want. We just need to know what you want. If you have a certain budget you want to be within and you don't see it on our website, give us a call. We'll see what we can do to work with you and help you with that. We don't have to do everything at your event. We can just be a piece of your event, or we can do everything, as much or as little as you want.
Can I share a story about that? Sure. I don't want to put you in the hole for the expectation of this, but again, procrastinator. It got to my wife's birthday, and I was like, oh no. And I called Greg, and I was like, Greg, I'm up in creek right now. And Greg sent a staff member out to the house, brought the food in, started the ovens, did the whole thing, and I looked like a hero. And I don't think I admitted to Katie at this point that was not planned at all. So I'm sorry, but it wasn't planned. And Greg saved the day, so that's just a nod. There's so many stories I have with that.
Well, I got to tell you, there's one better than that. When I owned catering by design and Carrie, this woman walked in one day and said, I'd like to plan my son's wedding. Great. If I sit down with her, we start talking about what she wants. I mean, she just can't get it out of her mouth fast enough before I even start asking her questions. So I get all this information down, rentals, flowers, music. We don't just do food, it's whatever you want. And I said, now when is the wedding? Oh, it's tonight. So we made it happen. We got her everything she wanted. We made it happen for her. It happened at the hotel across the covered bridge behind McGregor. I forget the name of the hotel. It's still there, but yeah, same day wedding. We can do it.
Okay. So
I mean, no, she was from England, so whether it's done differently.
There was a time zone problem.
I guess I don't know. But all right, so
language barrier.
Yeah, time zone. Yeah. But so besides the catering, we also have a restaurant called the Sycamore. We feature high-end steaks. All our steaks are certified prime. They come from one ranch, Creekstone Farms in Arkansas, Kansas. And if anybody, people say, well, why are your steaks so expensive? I say, just come try. Just come try one of our steaks. You'll understand. It's the best steak on the market. And, we're only, our food cost on a steak is about 50%. Food costs on your items should be 25 to 30%. So we're not marking them up as much as we could or should, but they are well worth the investment, I promise you. Come try our steaks. Our seafood is fresh. Yeah, what we do at the Sycamore is phenomenal. The atmosphere, the staff. I'm blessed with amazing staff in all of our businesses. I can't do it without them.
How do you do it?
I forgot we have Forest Hall too. We have a wedding venue at Chatham Mills too.
He has a wedding venue. So a little quick story. So when Greg and I knew each other for a little bit, and when Katie and I took the space over, I said, Greg, I think we should work together, and I don't want to compete with you in your space. I think that they're completely different spaces, and immediately he was like, yeah, you're right. Let's figure out a way to, you hand me business, I hand you business, and so that's been a really, really great partnership. I do want to ask a serious question though, like, not restaurant related, but for everybody in here who's thinking about starting a business or runs a business, talk about your attitude, because I think that there's one of the common things. If you've been to some of these Breakfast Club events, you talk to people and they kind of give you their insight into their mode of operation. You know, what is do you have like a mantra? What's your mantra? What do you live by?
Well, I always tell our children, what I tell people is just do the next right thing. Whatever that happens to be, I don't know what it's going to be when I walk out this door. I don't know what it's going to be tomorrow. Today. Just do the next right thing. Make the next right decision with the best information you have. It may a week from now you might say, oh, that was not a smart decision, but you didn't know that at the time. So if you just always do the next right thing, have whoever's in front of you in mind, you know, when you're doing that, then you really can't go wrong.
Talk about, you seem to be immune to most traditional sort of like fight or flight when it comes to business decisions. Specifically, when things are bad, you kind of don't retreat. And that's hard for most businesses. When times get tough, things get lean, people get backed into a corner, they tend to kind of make a decision that kind of continues the problem. So talk about where do you think that you get that ability to kind of get up on the saddle and keep going?
I have bills to pay. I had to raise 3 daughters. You know, I don't know. I don't know anything else. Well, all I know is cooking, a trained chef, and running restaurants and food service. But that's all I know. So what else am I going to do? If I go work for somebody else, I'll get a paycheck. If I do it myself, you know, I just keep plugging ahead. I mean, you've just got to find a way, you know, find new business, find new things. When we go out in our slow time, you know, if we're catering at UNC and it's slow, I'll send one of our salespeople to go up to UNC to deliver the lunch and maybe take cookies to other people, our customers. You know, we're always trying to grow our business.
No, that's great. So I want to leave room for some Q&A, but I do have one question. I've had a lot of discussions with several other business owners, and I got some great advice. You know, because Jenna, can I shed some light on you? So Jenna was Katie and I, we took this business on, and we didn't really think about managing an employee. So this was a new experience for us. And when you manage an employee, it's kind of like, you know, it's a new situation, and part of growing a business is being able to sort of make that decision and say, hey, we're going to hire somebody else, we're going to delegate some work. And I talked with another restaurant owner who said, and this is not to you, but she said, expect failure from the employees. Don't expect perfection. Give room for people to grow and for you to grow in that leadership role. You've got 100 employees. How do you do that?
Well, what I tell my management is, I don't think he said you failed yet, right?
No.
It clears me for when I eventually have a mistake, okay? You told me to.
She's operating at 120%, by the way.
So,
Thank you.
well, I think what's always important to know is that not everyone wants to be a leader. Not everyone wants to be promoted. Not everyone wants to move up. Some people are just happy with their jobs. Some people, you know, it's you got to meet them where they are. And to me, that's a really difficult lesson to teach some of my managers, because they'll shake their head and say, you know, this person doesn't take charge, or this person, they don't want to, you know? And maybe it's not a matter of they don't know how or they don't want to learn, they don't want to. I have a woman that's been working for me for 14 years, which is the pre-opening of the Roadhouse. All right, we opened that in 2011. She was a pre-opening trainer, and I actually have 2 of them. They're both in their same role that they were hired as. They don't want to move up. One's a dishwasher, pot washer. She doesn't want to do more. She could cook. She could do a great job. She doesn't want to. And then the other one is one that does all my cold food in my catering kitchen. I've wanted to teach her to be the chef so many times. She doesn't want to. She's happy where she is. And they're wonderful folks. I love these ladies to death, and I count on them every day. They don't want more than what they have. And so understanding that not everyone wants your job, not everyone wants to do more, I think is hard for a lot of people to understand and a lot of people to learn. And so meeting them where they are and just doing the next right thing.
Yeah, that's a higher level of, I think, intelligence is understanding where people are in your organization.